A very pleasant evening to each and every one of you here this evening. Let me begin by thanking you for coming out. It is really good to see you here this evening. Like my colleague Minister Gums, I too received some calls today and messages about a certain discussion that was on radio today, or a certain presentation. I didn't get a chance to listen to it, but I did manage to get a copy of the script. And whilst I was doing some finishing touches to my speech, I said, should I respond? And I said to myself, no, I won't respond. I won't respond because I don't want to get into a tick for tack. You know, I want our people to focus on the issues and the facts and the truth. So I'm not going to engage you, because if I was to respond, that wouldn't help to put food on your table. It wouldn't help you to buy medication, the things that you care about and you're concerned about. So I'm not going to respond, even though I really was tempted. And I can respond, but I decided against it. You know, vital to the success of economic development in Anguilla are a number of fundamental preconditions. Strong schools, safe streets, stable finances, a high-performing public education system from early childhood education right through to post-secondary level, a safe and livable environment, and a stable fiscal situation are the overarching needs that we must strive to provide. The need for comprehensive education, housing, public health, safety, transportation, the environment, community development, and overall quality of life. My vision for Anguilla sees every hard-working Anguillan owning a piece of this rock. We must strive to give every working Anguillan the foundation they need to succeed, because owning a home should not be out of the reach of ordinary hard-working Anguillians. Getting a good education should not be out of the reach of ordinary hard-working Anguillians. Adequate health care should not be out of the reach of ordinary hard-working Anguillians. So I will ensure that no matter who you are, or where you come from, no matter what your background may be, no matter what your political persuasion, I will ensure that if you work hard in Anguilla, that you can make it. That is my commitment to you. That is the Anguilla United Movement's commitment to you, that if you work hard in Anguilla, that you can make it. This is what is important. This is what is important. So I'm not here tonight to give you jokes and to, you know, that's not, this is serious business here. This is serious business. This is not about jokes and all that sort of stuff. We've had enough of that. We had 25 years of that, and it hasn't gotten you anywhere. Hasn't gotten you anywhere. We've got to look beyond that. We've got to ensure that our politicians speak to issues and speak the truth and speak to the facts. Speak to the things that you are hurting. Speak to the things that are hurting you. Speak to the things that will help to make your life better. Those are the things. When you listen to your politician, when you leave the meeting in the evening, you must say, well, boy, I learned something tonight. You know, what I heard tonight gives me hope. It gives me a sense that the future for Anguilla is bright. That I can live in this country as a proud Anguillan and I can succeed. These are the things we must ask of our politicians. Yeah, it's good to get a little joke every now and again, but you've got to be able to back it up with substance. You've got to be able to tell the people how, if you are elected, what are the things you will focus on? What are the things you will seek to achieve? What is your driving force? That's what we must focus on. In Anguilla, we've been suffering over the years from a lack of long-term planning. But this Anguilla United Movement will embark on a long-term planning strategy. We will develop a long-term strategic plan for Anguilla. The plan should be fact-based, it should be data-driven, it should be market-disciplined, because to succeed, the market analysis must continually be updated and deepened to track potential opportunities. Strategies need to be evaluated on a regular basis to ensure they remain aligned with local conditions. The process of developing and implementing the plan will be inclusive, collaborative, and transparent. To assure the plan is properly grounded, it must be developed with the involvement of a diverse set of informed stakeholders and subject area experts from the public, private, and civic sectors. Similarly, implementation of the plan cannot be the purview of a single organization or agency. Individuals and organizations with particular expertise related to the strategies identified in the plan need to be properly engaged. That is how we plan to move this country forward. Not because we're in power, that we're going to do everything because we think we know everything. We're going to engage you. We're going to engage the people who matter in this country because we want to hear from you. We want to hear from every man, Jack. We want to hear from the rich, the poor. We want to hear from the black, the white. We want to hear from man, woman, boy, and girl. Because whatever happens in Anguilla affects you. We are the stewards. We are here to represent you, to champion your goals and your aspirations. So we need to engage you to find out what those goals and aspirations are. So it is important that we engage you in everything we do and not think because we were elected we can go away and come back 5 years later. Tourism. The tourism sector is one of Anguilla's priority areas. Tourism investment is a critical component of a sustainable tourism sector. Investment in product and infrastructure is essential for destinations and businesses to support tourism visitation and experiences. Greater investment in the tourism industry will drive long-term profitability, innovation, and growth in the sector. We have to reduce fragmentation of the tourism stakeholders and increase coordination of investments in tourism promotion, governance, marketing, and outreach. We would ensure product development programs to enhance the aspects of the regional appeal to particular visitor segments. These programs create value by making Anguilla a more attractive place to visit. We need to improve Anguilla's tourism and entertainment infrastructure, enhancing Anguilla's transportation systems, including their appearance and overall visitor friendliness. Improve the convention and business travel experience with more competitive and improved services. And we need to increase investment in strategic marketing and promotions. Investment incentives. We hear a lot about investment and the investors that come to Anguilla spending hundreds of millions of dollars. That is all fine and good. We need that. We need foreign direct investment. And we do need to incentivize them to come to Anguilla. But what we also need, we need to incentivize our local businesses as well. Because our local business account for the majority of people that are employed in Anguilla. And we cannot be giving incentives to the rich foreigners. And yes, we love them. But we must also support our own. Because Albert Lake didn't start with the big business that he has there now. He didn't start in that building. He started a small operation. Proctor's didn't start as they were. Ashley across it didn't start as they were. They started small. But they had the support they needed, so they were able to develop. We must give our locals the support they need so they can expand and hire more Anguillians, because these are the people that hire the Anguillians. So just as we support the foreign investors, so too we must support our Anguillian businesses. They hire the majority of people who are working in Anguilla. And we must not forget that. We must invest in our own. We need to support government's growth agenda by helping smaller, riskier, early-stage Anguillian businesses, which may face barriers to raising finance to attract investment, making it easier for these companies to establish and grow. Some of the considerations are an investment allowance. A company granted an investment allowance is entitled to an allowance of X% on its qualifying expenditure. What this does, it allows a young businessman or businesswoman or a family, if they're interested in starting a business, they don't have to concern themselves about going overseas and purchasing the equipment, coming to Anguilla, paying customs duties, and all these hurdles before they even make a dollar. We must encourage and incentivize these local businesses to start by giving them incentive allowances that will help them to get the start and help them to hire Anguillians and start the business, get a good firm footing, and then they can start paying like everybody else. But we must incentivize them. Everybody's doing it, and so should we. Incentives for strategic projects. Strategic projects that involve issues of national or products of national importance, we should encourage them as well. We should encourage strategic projects for Anguilla. Incentives for small and medium companies, and not to leave out the existing businesses, we must also give a reinvestment allowance. So reinvestment allowance is given to existing companies engage in specified activities that reinvest for the purposes of expansion, modernization, or diversification of its existing business. Infrastructure is critical to our development. We will ensure that we devise policies to revive growth in Anguilla that are rooted in increasing investments, particularly its infrastructure. We need to maintain, modernize, expand, and develop infrastructure facilities. This will form a key pillar in our plan to move this country forward. The provision of infrastructure will be a high priority for this A.U.M administration. A high priority, ensuring continued growth in economic activity and productivity for Anguillians now and into the future. We will focus on creating policies that support communities, remove hurdles, or help to shape society by invigorating education systems, improving health services. All these things help to keep our economy in good shape. I call on civic society to play its role because I firmly believe that action to achieve strong communities can only be effective when it is led by people it concerns most. Government has a role to play by providing funding and support for activities that promote community integration. My vision for Anguilla includes every single one of you here this evening. And it doesn't matter whether you support this movement or not. My vision includes you. Whether you're rich, you're poor, you're black, white, brown, old or young, male or female, doesn't matter. Because as a leader, we must lead. And not only lead the folks that support us, we must lead everybody. We must be able to reach across the aisle. We must reach across the aisle. And we must be uniters, not dividers. We must always encourage folks on the other side to come over to our side. And we do that by being uniters, by appealing to everyone, by making the environment in Anguilla such that everyone can succeed, and not just the people that support you or your friends and your family, but everybody has to live. Because when everybody lives, everybody prospers, Anguilla prospers. That has to be our mantra, and that will be the mantra of the Anguilla United Movement. We must do good for the whole rather than for the few. And that is why we've always said to you, roots of integrity, a chunk of stability, and branches of prosperity, not just for a few, for everyone. Now, times are hard. I certainly will not pretend that everything is perfect in Anguilla. But we have begun a rebuilding process. And I told you last Saturday from whence we came. And we will continue that work with the help of every single one of you here this evening. And those of you listening at home, those of you abroad listening to us, we will move this country forward. We will bring this country back. We will bring this country back. We have done the hard work. We have laid the foundation. And I read an article today, Anguilla is coming back. We're on the brink of success. Our tourism numbers are improving. Our people are beginning to find jobs again. When you look under the trees in the various street corners that used to be filled with young men with no hope, filled with despair, these young men today are working. They are out working, and that's important. And whilst we admit there's some work to do, we have started this journey. The journey has started. And with your help, Anguilla, we will continue this journey because it is forward ever, backward never. Forward ever, backward never. We cannot get the bright future that Anguilla so richly deserves by going back to policies of the past. Out of control spending. When you as a homeowner, as the parent in the home, the head of the home, when you lose resources, what is the first thing you do? You cut back. You cut back, you live within your means. Under the previous administration, they weren't living under their means. They were still borrowing like as if there was no tomorrow. Yes, there was no tomorrow. And that was irresponsible. And that is why you need an administration that after we came into office, the first thing we did was said, we must live within our means. If you cannot afford that loan, we ain't going to take it. Because who's going to pay? Not just us. We should not be saddling unborn Anguillians with levels of debt, $200+ million of debt. We shouldn't be saddling unborn Anguillians with that level of debt. We must be responsible. We must be responsible by living within our means. And that's what this administration has sought to do when it came into office. We lived within our means. We lived within our means. We lived within our means. These folks, they borrowed so much, they even if we wanted to borrow, we couldn't. They choke us off. But you know, he said, we have to be responsible and we have to do the right thing. And the right thing is to live within our means and to say to Anguillians, the 300+ civil servants that they wanted to send home, he said to them, no, because sending you home isn't going to make Anguilla better, it's only going to make Anguilla worse. And we said, stay where you are. Stay where you are. This administration will ensure that you will have a job into the future. Our youth, we hear so much about our youth, and you will hear everybody talking about the youth. Our youth have a voice. And I'm saying to the young people tonight, wherever you may be, your views will be solicited and respected. Because I genuinely believe you have a role to play in our society. You are dynamic, you are creative, you are innovative, and we need that innovation and creativity and dynamism at work for us in Anguilla. We need it to work for us in Anguilla. So it is important that we get our young people off of the street corners and into the workplace, because they have energy, talent, and creativity, and we must harness it. Therefore, I will ensure that policies are devised that include our young people, that will be shaped by our young people, with our young people, and through our young people. Policies aimed at increasing high-quality education, sporting opportunities, and skills training, facilitating effective transitions from education to work, harnessing that innovation, and creating employment and entrepreneurial opportunities for our youth. And how can we forget our senior citizens? You know, all of us here will be a senior one day, you know. We'll be a senior one day. And it is important that we look out for you when that time comes. You must be able to live out your senior years with a sense of pride, a sense of dignity, a sense of independence. So if you worked hard in Anguilla from the time you were 18, you paid your taxes, you worked hard. You know, when you become a senior, you shouldn't have to be wondering about how am I going to get that life-saving medication. You shouldn't have to worry about that. You've earned your right to get that life-saving medication. And as Anguillians, and as this administration will ensure that Anguillians who have contributed and made this country to what it is today don't have to worry about making those crucial decisions about life-saving medication or putting food on the table. They should not have to worry about insulin or bread. No senior citizen who lived in this country should have to worry about insulin or bread. We should be giving them the insulin because they've earned it. And we should give them the bread too. They've earned it. Had it not been for them, for their hard work and their determination, many of us would not have been here. We may have been in Guyana or some other place, subsumed in, and Dominica, yes, subsumed in a foreign culture. But they stayed here and they sucked salt. They sucked salt. They paved the way for us because they believed in what Anguilla could be. And we can't be ungrateful to them. We have got to give back to them and say to them, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, madam, for what you've done to bring us to where we are today. cannot be ungrateful. Can't. I know many of you are tired of the petty fighting and the name calling. You heard my colleagues say we're running a clean campaign. And that is our focus. And I tell my colleagues that all the time. We are going to run a focused, clean campaign. With the facts. With the facts. And though, colleagues, we may be tempted at times to get down into the mud. I read something somewhere that you don't fight with a pig because you will get dirty. And you know what? The pig also likes it. The pig likes to get dirty. So don't fight with the pig. You only make yourself dirty and you look bad in the process. Stay above the fray. And that's what I am expecting my colleagues to do. That's what we have committed to do. And that is what we will do. That's what you, the people of Anguilla, deserve. A focused, clean campaign based on the issues. So no more attacking family members. No more character assassination. None of the petty fighting and the name calling. Let us commit to rolling up our sleeve and working hard and tackling the big issues that are affecting you. That should be our focus. And how can we make this country better? If we focused on making Anguilla better, we wouldn't have time for the petty stuff, the petty and the trivial. You know, I am disgusted by our love for scoring cheap political points rather than rolling up our sleeve and working. We prefer to score cheap political points. Let us focus on the people. Let us focus on what is it they need to ensure that when they lie down at night, that they can lie down comfortable and know that there's foods in their stomachs. That's what we should be focused on. The issues threatening Anguilla's long-term health require a careful and considered approach. We need to empower our people to build homes. We need to review our school curriculums to ensure we are equipping our young men and women with the skill sets for tomorrow's labor market. The father of the nation, Mr. James Ronald Webster, spoke to us. He stated, and I quote, "I still look forward to the day when our young people can make the future of our island a bright one. My hope is built on them, their ability to prepare themselves for leadership to run the affairs of Anguilla. Much like my predecessors, today we are called once more. It is time for our generation to answer the call of the father of the nation. It's time for us to step up and answer that call. One of the most important things that I will do as your representative is to restore opportunity for all Anguillians. All Anguillians. Not just those who support me. All Anguillians. From east to west, to the north and the south. For all Anguillians. To get our economy growing, we need to restore our fundamental values. What makes us Anguillian is if you work hard. Work hard. You can make it. We have done it before. We have overcome trials and tribulations. We've battled adversity. We've done that by recognizing that we each have a stake in each other's success. This administration, when it came into office, met a dismal situation. And I will remind you what we met. We met an economy declining at 16.5%. 16.5% declining. 27% drop in revenues and going down. That's what we met when we came in. Couldn't even afford to pay the civil servants. When we got into office, the first thing we had to do was borrow. The first thing we had to do was borrow. But borrow we did. We realized that if we wanted to move this country forward, we had to take some difficult decisions, and we did. But 1 year after coming into office, we cut spending because we realized we have to live within our means, so we cut spending by 8%. Not only did we cut spending, we improved revenues by 5%. And we reduced our current account deficit by 44%. In just 1 year. That's what we did. That's what responsible people do. That is what responsible leaders do. But since taking office, we have improved our fiscal situation, our revenues by 17% since taking office. But they will tell you, we haven't done anything. We've turned the country upside down. We have lived within our means. We have stabilized the ship because really she was going down, and we have stabilized her. She was losing revenues by over 27%. Going down. The previous administration had revenues, had growth in 2007 at around 17%. Very good. Very good. And in a 2-year period, from 17% growth, we ended up in 2009 with negative 16%. Negative from a 17% growth to a negative 16% drop in over a 2-year period. So if you look at the graph, you'll see this huge dip in 2 years. That must have been the worst 2-year period in Anguilla's history. Because you come from positive 17 to negative 16. You do the math. It's about a 30% drop. It's a 30% drop. And when you would think that these guys would say to themselves, let us recalibrate, let us look at what's happening and let us cut here and cut there and live within our means, didn't matter to them. It didn't matter to them. They continued spending like as if, there was no tomorrow, and tomorrow didn't matter. But we didn't do that. We could have, when we came into office, we could have sent home 300 Anguillians. That would have balanced the budget. But balancing the budget wasn't our focus. Our focus was how do we rebuild this country, and how do we ensure that those 300 Anguillians are a part of the rebuilding process. They can't be a casualty of the process. They must be a part of the process. And that's what we did. We kept them there. We said, we want you to be a part of this rebuilding exercise. We don't want you to be a casualty of it. And we kept them. And, it was a difficult decision. But that's what leaders do. They take difficult decisions. Sometimes they may be unpopular. But as a leader, that's what you're elected to do. To take difficult decisions. So we reduced expenditures by 13%. And we were able to put reserves away of some $29 million. Yeah, we could have taken that $29 million and spend it. But part of what a responsible leader has to do, he has to ensure that you put away something for a rainy day. So when the rainy day comes, you have something to bank on. We could have spent it. We could have easily spent that $29 million. But like every Anguillian knows, you got to put away something for the rainy day. And you do what you can, while you can, with what you have available. So we decided, let's set aside this money, because the day might come when we will need it. And additionally, we have signed the FFSD that says you have to do it. That tells us you have to put aside something for a rainy day. That we need at least 3 months worth of revenues set aside in the event something happens. The administration before, when they had reserves, they used them all. Used them all so much so we couldn't even pay civil servants when we came in. Couldn't even do it. Right now, if something happens, we have $29 million that we can continue functioning. Continue functioning. That's what you call responsible leadership. Responsible. Yes, we could have spent the money. We could have. But it wasn't the responsible thing to do. The responsible thing to do was to set aside something for a rainy day. Something that many of you Anguillians here know about. Because you've been doing it all your lives. No, you can't. Can't eat everything one time. And if you have some money on the bank and things start to get tough, you just don't go and take out all the money and spend it. You look at what you're doing. You look at where can you cut. Where can you adjust your behaviors? What can you leave out? You do that first. And when there's no more room to cut, then you touch the money you have on the bank. But you don't rush to it first. You have to do the responsible thing and look at you and look at what you're doing and ask yourself, what can I do differently? What can I do differently? That is the first thing you do. You just don't go and take up your hard-earned savings that you saved over the years, and then when that's gone, you have nothing to fall back on. You were where you were 3 months ago. No, that's not the responsible thing to do. But tonight we're here for Mr. Elkin Richardson. That's why we're here this evening. We're here to support the man they call Current. Current, they say don't touch the current. You touch the current, you know what happens. You don't see it now, smell it, you say. But if you touch it, you know it's there. That's why we're here. And so I'm encouraging every single person in this district, Shoal Bay, Stony Ground, of course right here in North Side, Maypen, Tackling, the Quarter, Farrington, and its environs, wherever you are in this district, I'm asking you to support Mr. Elkin Richardson, because a vote for Mr. Elkin Richardson is a vote for the Anguilla United Movement. And a vote for the Anguilla United Movement is a vote for you. It's not a vote for us. It's a vote for you. Support Mr. Elkin Richardson. Say what you want about Mr. Richardson. He's a man of passion. He's committed. And if elected, he will represent you. Say what you want about him. He will. He will represent you. So people of District 3, give us the mandate. Give us the mandate by electing Mr. Elkin Richardson as your candidate of the Anguilla United Movement in District 3. Give us the mandate. All seven. All seven. All seven. That's what we're aiming for. All seven. And that includes the Current. Island Harbor for sure. Sandy Hill for sure. District 3 for sure. Valley North. Valley South for sure. Road North is definitely sure. Road South for sure. And West End. Well, that's a done deal. That's a done deal. West End is a done deal. Done deal. Well, let me conclude by saying, vote for Mr. Elkin Richardson, a man of passion. That is a vote you certainly won't regret, because he will represent you. Vote for Elkin Richardson, District 3. Thank you very much.